Good evening and welcome to the Town of Acton Selectmen's meeting for October 29th, 2015. First item on the agenda, a salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda.
Seconded.
All in favor? Approval of the minutes of the last meeting.
I move that we approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Seconded.
All in favor? Floor is yours, Jen.
First, a few items have to do with code enforcement, so Ken, would you mind coming up? If you recall, last week, the Board of Selectmen approved the purchase of his boat. We did get that, we got the bill of sale signed, and yesterday we registered it. It is registered to the town of Acton with the town's tax ID number, so with the registration for the boat and the trailer and everything is in the town's name. So that was done. We made the town exempt from everything that we could. There were some things you had to pay the fee for, so Michelle was kind enough to get us a handwritten check so we could get that done yesterday. I believe that Mr. Paul has already gotten it in the water.
Yep, this afternoon we were out on Mousom.
Did we write up any
Picked a good
violations?
day for it.
It was a very good day. 4 points of contact, 2 were, they were very excited to see me, and 2 really weren't.
That's 50-50, you gotta be all right with
That's what I
that.
thought, 50-50, we're doing okay.
So where is the boat gonna be stored in the winter?
I believe from the prices I've got with Mishad's inboard, for $400, he'll winterize it, change the oil, shrink wrap it, and leave it there on site.
That's the one right on 109?
Right up here, right up the street, so I may even work something to leave it there year-round with him or something like that, but that's less money than the other marinas just wanted to shrink wrap it. So I thought it was extremely reasonable to do, and he's from town, it's right up the street, so he's knowledgeable with it. He was the one that also looked at it ahead of time to make sure it was a good purchase for the town, and he thought it was a really good deal, so.
How much did we get from the town to buy the boat?
86 is in
And how
that
much?
line.
Exactly what we paid?
75.
75, so
Oh,
1,100.
so there's some money left to
Yep,
pay for that?
Yep,
Okay.
that gives us, for life jackets, we'll get the oil change, winterize it, and fuel for next year, and I think we'll be looking good.
So is the board okay with, prior to, without coming back to you guys, so the difference less the registration, just what's within that line that you authorize us to go ahead and winterize it and get it ready and purchase what we need, as long as we're not exceeding the original 8,600?
Right. And we don't have to go out to bid because it's only $400.
Exactly.
So you guys are all okay with that?
Where are you putting it? In Micho's?
Yeah.
All right, next was the siding work status. You want to fill us in on that?
Yeah, Bob, as you see, we've got both sides stripped. We brought the stuff up to the transfer station. We insulated the areas that need to be insulated. Then we used ice and water shield on the bottom, foot to 18 inches around all the windows, and we've retrimmed the one side. All the trim, the ice and water shield was all left over from last year, so we didn't have to purchase any of that. We've got about 1,000 into material, and maybe by the end of the week, 2,000 into labor, so we'll be about $3,000, a little over for those 2 sides done. So then we'll look at the south side of the library maybe, and then the front of this building. Just avoid the front of the library for the entranceway, a ramp or something like that, if that's what we're thinking.
Yeah, we're still waiting for the price to come in, which Ted requested from Earthworks prior to next year's warrant to figure out how we can make those 2 walkways coincide into one and have him do the work, but that's definitely a next year project.
Yep.
How much did we get for siding?
11?
11,000, wasn't that combined with what you were taking out of, what was being taken out of building maintenance? That's what the board didn't want to spend more than, was my understanding.
That's what I was told the budget was 11.
11,000.
Yeah.
But that was, we asked for money from the town over and above the maintenance fee. That was the 11,000 and then the...
No, you only ended up asking, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but you only ended up asking, remember in the end, for a small amount, it was $3,000 or $4,000.
Because we knocked it down because
you
of,
knocked it
because of the tax rate, that's right, too.
Exactly.
We were looking for 35,000, then we knocked that down.
It was a high-end number, and then we...
Yeah, we asked, we were
were
planning
gonna
on
finish it,
35,000
right.
until we saw what the tax rate was, and then we
Yeah.
knocked it down.
And took
So-
most of it out of building
So this
maintenance.
money is coming out of the maintenance?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep, so once we get done these two sides, we'll take a look and probably do that side, and then if we've got enough to do the front of this, we'll do that. If there's anything left, maybe this side here, that's a simple, easy one. And then the only thing left would be the rear there, and this L area over on that side there.
Good. On this building here, outside here,
This one?
yep, after you stripped off everything there, what were the rocks and stuff that was in the wood? Above the foundation, behind the wall?
Was it actual rocks, or was it the blown-in insulation that looks like rocks?
It might have been the blown-in stuff.
Yeah.
It was at night when I was looking at it, and it
Yeah.
looked like crushed stone to me in there, but,
Yeah, I think it's gray is the blown-in insulation color.
yeah, this stuff was hard.
It might have been just to hold the insulation, because it was blowing everywhere, all the cracks and stuff like that. So we sealed up a lot of it just to keep it in the walls when we blew it.
Thanks.
All right, next is the window seals. Because he's doing work on the siding, Michelle sent an email out just to remind the board that there were some rough-looking sills, since he was going to be working in the area, and there's $898 left in that window fund. She'd like you to possibly either authorize to spend it on the window sills to clean it up, or let's pay it back and zero out that account for auditing purposes if we're done.
That was from a loan though, right?
Correct.
So we have to use it for the windows.
You have to use it for the windows.
Yeah, so go ahead and use it for the
These
windows.
two sills here, and oddly enough, it's a 3-inch windowsill. It's really, really thick. So I got it a 4x6 fir. We'll cut that, notch it, and turn it into windowsills for these two windows, and we'll take a look at that third one too to make sure it seemed like it was good.
The library one's okay?
That's a whole different, smaller profile, and that's much easier to fix anyways, but they all seem pretty solid.
Okay, well, yeah, use the window money for that, and we'll
Yep.
close that out.
Yeah, so make sure when you budgeting that you let Michelle know what's coming out of that account. I'll let her know that the
We were before.
board authorized it. I think the last thing for, oops, I got that on there twice. Last thing for Ken was waive the building fees, making a request for Flat Ground Road, 177 Flat Ground Road.
That's the house that burned down?
It was a mobile home, beginning of the year,
Are they
100%
building or
lost.
putting another mobile home?
another mobile home.
It was 100% and no insurance.
Somebody want to make a motion to waive the bill? You want us to waive the entire fee?
Yeah. There's nothing there.
I'll make a motion that we waive the building fees for the 177 Flat Ground Road residents.
Second.
All in favor? Thanks, Scott.
Awesome. Enjoy your evening. Thank you.
too.
So the Sanford flooring estimate update, I actually had it because I wanted to update you on where I thought we were going with it, but then I was asked to put it under old business, so it's under there twice, so I apologize for that. So last week, yes, you discussed it, Ted, and I think it was decided, or the minutes say that it was decided that you were gonna hold off until you figured out where building maintenance stood. In the meantime, Mr. Poynt came in, Mr. Poynt was going to very generously make the donation, which he announced last week, to fix the library floor. He felt like it was a hazard and it needed to be approached, or done right away. In the meantime, we wanted to take a look at it, so we went into the library. Ed was here, so he went in as well, and I'll let him take it from there. He asked,
Yeah.
after looking at it, to be
No, I
put
did
on the
ask her to
agenda.
put it on, because I did go over and look at the floor. It is definitely a hazard. It's all torn up right as you first come in, and they've got a carpet over part of it to keep it from being torn up anymore. I don't know, it's just, after reconsidering last week, thinking about it, we do own the building. I think we do have an obligation to maintain the building in a safe manner. We're talking $375.14, I believe the amount was. I'd like to reconsider just, taking out the building maintenance and fixing that. I think we're gonna have enough to do the siding and whatnot. And, just where I do see it as being a hazard, after physically looking at it, I think it needs to get done.
Is that a motion?
I'll put that in a motion. That we spend up to was it,
Second.
let me get the right dollar amount. I think it was $375.
375.14.
Yeah, $375.14 to fix the entryway floor at the library.
Second.
All in favor? Okay.
Are you opposed, Ted?
Nope,
How are you voting?
I'm abstaining.
For a conflict of interest? Remember, we just went through this with Larissa.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Then I'm voting against it.
Okay.
I still think, the problem is, and I'm glad you're here, because for 6 years, we've been trying to convince the library to become a town department, because then we can have a budget for you. You know, we give you money as a charity, but then we have to treat you as a charity. And yes, it is our building, but we're not budgeting for things for the library, like when your electricity, you couldn't change your light bulbs, and we had to come in and change the light bulbs, and we had to hire an electrician, because we're thinking of it as your space. And we had to fix the floor and all that, and that's all fine, but with the money that the town is giving you as a charity, you're spending a lot of it on things that you wouldn't have to spend it on if you were part of the town. We've talked about this before, and your board voted not to do it, but I was hoping that you would talk to the board again and reconsider, rather than becoming a charity, to become part of the town. Then we can have a budget for the library, like we do with every other department, and each department has maintenance. And, because we have a maintenance budget for the building here, and then we have a maintenance budget for the fire department, we have a maintenance budget for the transfer station. And with the money that we've had to spend in the last couple of years for the library, that hits the maintenance budget for what we plan on doing for the building, like the siding, and we are doing the library at the same time. We did a new roof for you and everything else, and that's our requirement. But it doesn't make sense to me that the library is its own entity, and then when you have issues and need repairs, and then you have to come to the town over and above what the town's giving you as a charity. So I was hoping that you would rethink that, and, because then, it's a lot easier.
Well, I just have a few questions.
Could you come up?
If the library does belong to the town, why isn't it included in the maintenance budget?
The library doesn't, well, the building does, yes.
So the library is included in the maintenance budget because it's the town building.
We put in $25,000 a year, and then we have plans for the different things. It was like 6 years before this board finally fixed the floor in there. It just kept getting passed on and passed on. And that was pretty serious. That was a hazard. The books were weighing down the floor, and, we had to jack it all up and put beams in and everything else. But once we knew about the issue, then we put it into before the town to get separate money to fix that. This is a minor thing, but we have planned, because of the way the tax rate went this year, we had the 25,000, and we planned with the 25,000, thinking also out of that maintenance budget comes cleaning fees, and electric bills?
Not under that account, no.
No, what else comes out of there? The,
Shoveling, lawn care.
Yeah.
And maintenance of the property.
So there's a
in
lot of
general.
things that come out of that budget, so without us knowing, because we know what's going on in this building, but without us knowing when we go to budget what's going on in the library until something breaks down, and
Well,
I know you're
why
here.
don't we work together at budget time and talk about that, because it is your building, and we are grateful that we can use it, but if the library was in another building in this town, it would probably need a lot more money from the town to be on its own. I think being in this,
So
in
you're
this
saying,
building.
you're saying you still want to be a nonprofit and not part of the town?
Well, I think that when we looked at the budget, we're not going to save as much money per year being a town department. It wasn't a whole lot of money. It was $500 in payroll, $500 in general liability, and that's all we could come up with.
And you got those figures from Michelle?
No, that's what we're paying currently.
Okay, well, I guess then what we will have to do is, when we do our budget this year, we will have to go through the building and figure out what costs are going to be coming up in that building. And I know from all the times we had to call in heating repair last winter, that heater is, we got to do something about
I'm
that.
just wondering, with all the repairs that has been needed, why do we not have a maintenance person here to do that instead of calling out for maintenance work?
We do. We have people that can come in and do minor maintenance.
No, I mean, like a regular maintenance
We do.
employee.
We have employees of the town that when we need small projects done, we can call them in to do small projects, but it doesn't make sense to hire a full-time employee to be here just in case something happens. Because we have people that work for the road commissioners that can come in, like they came in and fixed your walkway into the library.
Okay,
So we do have people that come in and fix things when we need them fixed, but it doesn't make sense to hire somebody full-time.
okay.
There isn't enough work. But again,
Well, I think
just,
we should probably work together during budget time, in
well, if you
regards
could give
to-
us, if you could give us a list of issues ahead of time, because what it's been is putting out fires instead of fire prevention. So if you let us know of concerns ahead of
Well,
time,
I-
then we can
I-
plan on them better.
Yeah, and with the furnace issue, it seems like the wind is blowing something out, so maybe we need to seal something up there so that we don't have to keep.
Well, that's why we're redoing siding and insulating the whole building. I mean,
Okay.
these are 1,800 buildings, and we're doing it as we can with a little at a time. And, like we're gonna do one side of your building now, we've already done one side of that building, last year. And so we're doing it a little bit at a time, but, I mean, that heater, I don't know how old it is, but it's pretty old, and then the way it's installed, you have to get a ladder and go up to a crawl space in the front of the building to go and service it and everything. So, I mean, we've looked at, it was suggested by the heating guy to put in monitor heaters in the library.
Right. It seems to make sense because when the heat kicks on, it's all up here.
Yeah, it doesn't make
and,
sense to have a heater in the
It's
ceiling.
really cold down here, and the thermostat's off by about 6 degrees, so,
It's the same thing in this building, the new part of the building that was built in the 70s, they put the heater up in the ceiling, and it doesn't make sense, because heat rises, so, but yeah, it has been mentioned that we should put monitors in, but with all the extra things in the tax rate this year, it wasn't something that we planned on doing this year.
okay.
But if you could get us a list of all the things that you see need to be fixed or expect to be fixed, since you guys spend so much time in there, that would be very helpful.
Okay, we also do our own cleaning, just so you know. We haven't seen a cleaner come in that side of the building, unless it's bugs in the lights. Thank you, Bill.
Then we send Bill.
Make sure that, carpet is on that list. I noticed when
Yes.
Ed and I went in there, I mean,
That's
and I
been
hate
an
to even
issue
say
since
it, but
doors,
that,
yeah.
I mean, Ted, you can almost grasp inches of carpet throughout that place.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
bunched up in a couple of spots that,
That's been voted now, right?
The vinyl has been voted on, yeah, I just wanted to,
The
yeah,
carpet.
something to think about
that's-
for next year, maybe. On the, back to the vinyl, they said they had to cut a door. Do you know which door it is that needs to be
It's
trimmed?
actually both. I took the screen door off already. I'm gonna
Okay.
bring that home and replace the screen on it because it's all ripped up. But the other door, I don't want it to leave because it does create an airlock for,
That's the door coming from the vinyl into the library?
yeah, they
Okay.
both swing in. The
Okay.
exterior door swings out, so that's not an issue.
Okay. I can cut that other door down.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, electricity for Christmas tree?
I'm hesitant to bring some of these items up. I don't know how I got to be the lucky one. So, remember, I'm the messenger. So it's almost time for the annual tree lighting association, tree lighting that they have, and they are looking to move it to the tree down by, the sign that the Stantons very generously donated. That large tree down there. There is electricity that goes down there to one area, but it's not hooked up. And they are requesting that the town,
They want to put the tree by the sign?
well, no, the tree that's there now on the corner, so they would have the kids and everybody back, by the gym parking lot and have that area, rather than going through what they go through to try to get a tree here, they're just gonna decorate the one that's there.
Mary Stanton said that if we were to ask her husband, he would put power to that sign because he wanted to light the sign.
Well, the power is there, but we need an actual electrician to come out and connect it to our,
There is
our
power
box.
down there?
Yeah, that's what there's,
At the sign.
at the pole, at the pole.
No, are you talking about the flagpole, or are you talking about the sign out there that?
Talking about the pole before the sign and before the tree,
A telephone pole.
yes.
There's an outlet on it.
I have not personally seen this, so.
I don't think so, but I
They're telling me
remember,
that Michelle sent me a specific email that said that there was power that went all the way out there and just needed to be connected from the pole to the sign and the tree.
so service has to be done.
Correct.
Okay. Again, I would call Scott and ask him, because Mary said if the town asked him to do it, because when they donated
He's
that
a
sign.
licensed electrician?
He would-
actually believe he is.
Yeah, because they do all their own signs and everything. When they put the sign up, they wanted to power it and light it.
Right, no, I remember
And
that.
weren't allowed to, but Mary said that if we asked him to, he would probably come back and do it,
Do
so
you
then,
recall why they weren't allowed to?
Selectmen didn't want him to for
Didn't
some
want light,
reason. I don't
okay.
know, I don't know what the whole story was.
Okay. So ask the
uh,
Stantons if they'll donate to get the electricity up and running.
Right, but to
If-
do a service down there for one outlet, would be very expensive. You'd have to have a meter and everything else.
Assuming there's nothing down there now.
Right, I can go look at that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll see, but as far as I know, he wanted to bring power to it, and there wasn't any there, because he wasn't allowed to when he put the sign up.
Okay. So if, is that something that we can bring up next week and follow up as far as how that ended?
Yeah, and,
Because they're just trying to plan their event, so if it's,
yeah, but I can tell you it'd be, pretty expensive for us to do that this year right now.
payroll timesheets, treasurer has put together a memo, and I'm gonna kind of put this into our, what I'm hoping to add as workshop hours. So we had a small situation last week. It wasn't a big deal, and we feel like, it was handled in-house. But we did take some, a couple of phone calls. I believe we spoke with, Ted. Bill might have been in the building and, might have had a conversation about it. But nevertheless, it's created this memo from the treasurer, and I want to get everybody on this, get the selectmen, make sure that you're okay with this. It has not been distributed yet because we're waiting to make sure. So it goes to all department heads. This memo serves as a friendly reminder that timesheets must be submitted for all employees. Even if you, as a department head, create a cover sheet for your whole department payroll, they must be attached. The timesheets must accompany that cover sheet. The timesheets are required to be filled out by each employee, and the employee must sign off on their own hours. A department head must also sign off on their hours. Employees will not be paid unless signed timesheets accompany each request for employee pay. Upon recommendation from the board, all departments will be using the same format timesheet with the exception of those departments that may have a time clock or employees that are paid salary. Timesheet masters have been created for department heads to use. We expect this transition to new sheets to begin next week. So, the standard form that, all of us in-house currently use now essentially has, which you see each week with your payroll that you're signing off. It's got the employee's name, it's got week ending, and then it's got Monday through Sunday, and the employee needs to write in the start time, write in the end time, how many hours, total hours times their hourly rate. The employee needs to sign it, and the supervisor needs to sign it. Those are due to the treasurer by 10 o'clock on Tuesdays, and then that's where the, how essentially the employee gets paid. We need some sort of paper trail for all of the departments so that we know, who we're paying and why, and down the road when it comes to audits or things that we need to check or things even being questioned, we can say that, this person and this department head signed off, this is what they did, and so forth. So, with your permission, we'll put those off to the department heads.
Yeah, I mean, we did this, 2 years ago, when we told everybody that they had to have timesheets in?
Correct.
So we just have to remind them again,
Remind them again, and not only that, but
and have everybody do the same thing.
well, right, and that, and, and the buck stops with the board. I mean, you sign the warrants each week. If you're not seeing them, then unfortunately, they're not, you know what I mean? I mean, Michelle is not gonna, she's gonna need your permission to not put them forward. I mean, the last thing we wanna do is not pay an employee. I mean, that's the last thing that we wanna do. But, I mean, if you're not seeing what you're requesting, then that's gonna be up to you guys, to make that decision. So good with that?
Yep.
We're on the same page? Next thing under my list was the newsletter. So many moons ago, we had a link on the website that was called newsletter, and you essentially could click on it and you'd sign up to be included in the town's newsletter by simply putting your email address in. So what happens is during the week, a staff member keeps track of pertinent information that's available to the public, and they create a Word document. And after the document's proofed by myself, then we upload it onto the website, and we're going to be emailing it out to anybody that signed up. This kind of follows up. We had some conversation about the town having a Facebook page. With the day and age of us electronically, I had come to you asking you if we could possibly do the Facebook page. I haven't been able to find any way to make the page private enough so that people can't post on it. So when I put November election, November 3rd from 8 to 8, I don't want Johnny to be able to say, vote yes on this or no on this. So because I wasn't able to get all the privacies that would make me happy with the way the page is, I've kind of set that idea aside and kind of went back to the newsletter. We've had a lot of comments from residents that don't see Acton in the Sanford News anymore. We no longer have the column going in there. So
That's just because we can't find anybody that wants to write the column?
essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, and we can, in this email, this document, can be emailed to the Sanford News. I mean, we'd have to talk to Sean Sullivan and see if it's something he would, consider putting back into the newspaper. But, I mean, it would be anything from, when you see all of these announcements that are on here, it might be all of that information and just sent out weekly. I mean, we've always got something going on, whether it's closure for a holiday or elections or dog licenses or whatever. So, with the board's permission, we'd like to get the newsletter back up and running and open it up to people to sign up and try to get them more information or news about the town.
Who does that?
Your staff.
The staff?
I think it's a great idea.
Something, so hopefully you guys will sign up for the newsletter as well, and you'll see the weekly updates that go out. And we'll open this up to the public as well, or at least departments and committees, Mary Grant, for example, when they have an event coming up, anything that goes on cable, we can take that same information and put it in this newsletter, and we can start trying to reach more people.
Sounds good.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to mention, was workshop hours and communication with the board, and I just, it's been a few months now, wanted to see if the board is happy with the way that things are going, if they feel like they're spending enough time here, if communication is enough, or if we need to consider having workshop hours that are just more open to the public and not so much on live television, or if you want to just keep going the way that it is. I don't feel like we're communicating a whole lot as a group.
You looking for a comment? Or?
Okay. First thing we
I'm
have,
fine with the way it is right now.
anyone else?
I mean, it's working, but there probably is more we could be doing.
Yeah, I was gonna say that it's a good idea, if you can pull it together to do that.
Well, I mean, it would be up to you guys to decide that.
Either go back to the 3 o'clock start or 4 o'clock start, or, and then go live at 5, or maybe push the 5 to 5:30, I don't know, just.
Why do we need to go off camera? I thought that was the whole idea.
I don't
of
know,
not
I'm
having
just,
that
I'm just
anymore.
throwing ideas out, I mean. If we're covering everything we need to cover, then I guess we'll find the way that we are, but.
Well, attendance is pretty good the way it goes, and the fact that there's not too many people coming into the workshop is just because there's not many things that they need to come in and talk about. I mean, I'd say that
Pete's got a
things are
question.
functioning reasonably well the way they are.
Pete?
Yeah, Peter, the fire chief. I will throw out some comments. I really appreciated when we did have some, I don't know what you call them, staff meetings or comments. I'm not gonna say behind closed doors, because they weren't behind closed doors. Anybody was welcome into our conversations, but there are certain things you're just not gonna announce to everybody that's monitoring the TV. So I appreciated it. I mean, I used to bring up a lot of information almost every Thursday to bring to you, but you guys are so busy on nights like tonight. It's to bring up something every night to bring up to you, just so you're aware of things that's going on. Some things might be bad, some things that might be good. Some things we need to work on before it goes to the public. And I'll say as a fire chief, I do miss those connections when we communicated. I don't know, some towns call them workshops or property subcommittees. They call them subcommittee things, so you can hash out some things, kind of like along with the ordinance thing. I'm not afraid to give information out to the public by no means, that's what we do. But there are some things it's nice just to communicate and iron things out before you bring everything out to the public. Just my 2 cents.
Thanks, Pete.
The first item under old business is the Mary Grant pumpkin carving update. I was going to give an update on how the event went, but Mr. Neal is present, so I'd ask him if he'd come forward and give the update from somebody that was there firsthand.
Good evening. We held the annual pumpkin carving event last Saturday. We were a little disappointed that we didn't have a bigger turnout, but those that did turn out went real good. Kids had a great time. We had a lot of good food, good homemade fish chowder, and then we also had macaroni and cheese, plus a whole bunch of goodies. Marita Lowell made a great big batch of homemade donuts.
Oh, wow.
My wife made apple squares, and then there was cookies, and we had a panada full of candy for the kids after they finished with the pumpkin carving. And we also turned around and had roasted marshmallows around the fire, and it worked out pretty good. And we just kind of missed having a selectman there. You were there last year,
And the year before.
so
I ended up working all weekend, so.
but as I say, the overall, I think it went real good, and people had and I was able to turn into the town treasurer $30 donations that we don't charge for anything, but people, the donation jar is there, and people, we even had people from out of town come and get involved, and they were amazed at the facilities and the services. One woman turned around and mentioned, "Boy, this would be a beautiful place to have a birthday party for the kids in summer."
Well, that's great.
Her little girl turned around and he got all excited, and oh boy, she was really looking forward to that. So, yeah, we turn around and try and, would like to take this opportunity to not only ask the selectmen, but anybody out in the public. We'd really like to get some younger people involved with the committee. There's not that many meetings, and we turn around and don't really have that many events, but the events that we have had in the past have gone off real great, and I think it's a great asset to the town. So,
Who donated the pumpkins?
Art Kelly,
Oh, really?
yeah.
I'll have to
I
thank
know
Art for that.
last year, he allowed me, I went up and picked them with Barbara Seacar and her husband, and this year, he'd already picked them for us, and all we had to do was bring them up. And, but, so at least 2 years in a row, Art Kelly has provided them, and we really appreciate that.
Well, that's great. I'd like to thank him for that.
Anything else?
Nope. Congratulations, that's great.
Last week, the Board of Selectmen signed some abatements. You signed the actual abatements, but we didn't have the actual abatement cards that they're requesting still be attached. So I'm going to pass those around. And one of the abatements that you signed, when I was actually doing the processing it, I realized that the assessor inadvertently used the wrong tax rate, because you abated more than the property was even originally taxed. So this one on the Lapines is actually a correction, so I need a motion on this one because you already authorized a different amount. So that one will need two signatures.
2 signatures from each of us?
On that one, yes, please.
Oh, there's 2 cards? Oh, I see.
Yeah, the original one.
All right. do you pronounce the last name?
Lapine.
Lapine. Dear Danny and Kathleen Lapine, the town of Acton has reviewed the 2015 assessed value of your Acton property. As a result of our review, we have granted abatement on Acton map lot 149-005. The reasons for the abatement are, this owner only bought a portion from an abutter that should have been combined with their existing piece. The revised valuation and tax and the original valuation and tax are displayed in the table below. We, the Acton Board of Assessors, have approved a tax abatement of $35,750 in evaluation and $412.91 in tax dollars on real estate. A motion to sign the corrected abatement.
I move that we accept the corrected abatement.
Seconded.
All in favor?
The next one, the supplemental signing, I'm gonna table until the end here. I actually don't have the document, so I'm gonna try to sneak out and grab it. Library floor, we already discussed. Personnel policy, last week you guys instructed me to make some changes to the personnel policy. I made one, I emailed it around, I didn't, emailed it to everybody from the Selectmen to Fire and Rescue. I'm not sure if it was okay, I didn't hear back from anybody, so I'm gonna assume that it is. And Michelle also had a change that she emailed around, so just for the board's clarification, under Article 4, employment categories, line F was added, stipend employees. A stipend employee is not considered a permanent employee and is not entitled to benefits. Employees are, however, subject to all personnel rules and regulations as provided here within. And then on the next page, under overtime, line C, the line was added, fire and rescue personnel will be paid overtime after 212 hours of actual work in a 28-day period. So those are the two changes, nothing else has changed.
And that's the labor laws for fire department?
Correct.
For fire employees?
Correct.
Okay.
So if you want to take a
And
look.
that's all, that was the only concerns, right, as far as the personnel policy? Okay. Okay, motion to sign the updated personnel policy?
I move that we accept the updated personnel policy.
All in favor? She needs that back too.
Next, I have the signing of the November 10th warrant. Again, I sent this around to everybody that would have been involved with any of the warrant articles to make sure that, I mean, there's a lot of information here, there's complete, full ordinances, it's what, 13, 15 pages to make sure that that we've typed it all in there accurately. I got one reply from someone on Warren and Finance and made one minor correction, but I would encourage the board, if you haven't already, to look at the motions to make sure that they're, just go over them real quick, make sure it's what you voted on. So Article 2, Board of Selectmen recommend Article 2 be adopted as written, that was 3-0 vote. Article 3, the Board of Selectmen recommends Article 3 ought not to pass, 3-0. Article 4, which is the historical zoning, Board of Selectmen recommends Article 4 be approved as written, 3-0. I did hear back from Warren and Finance too, and they did vote on that one, they just had not included in the minutes. Their recommendation was approval of the amendment as drafted, 4-0.
Okay.
Article 5, which is the solid waste. I have the Board of Selectmen approve Article 5 as written, 3-0. Warren and Finance was approved as drafted, 3-1-2. And then the last one being the fire and rescue. Board of Selectmen recommends approve Article 6 as written. So, once that's signed, we'll get it posted and start advertising the special town meeting.
A motion to sign the warrant.
I move that we sign the warrant.
Seconded.
All in favor? Just the one place, right?
Yes. To follow up with that, we did have, so the full board knows, we did have some conversations with Mr. Nass, should he be elected moderator, in regards to some concerns for those articles. We think that we've gotten everything worked out in regards to the moderator's rules, and Attorney Warren will also be present, at least for the first couple of articles, to make sure that he's able to answer any questions. Butters notice, the town of Acton is an actual abutter to this conditional use request from the Mountain Minerals, so Ted, Brenda asked that you actually accept that and acknowledge it as an abutter,
Who's in the butter?
the town of Acton.
Oh, okay. Town of Acton, public notice. The Acton Planning Board will hold a public hearing Thursday, November 5th, 2015, at 7 p.m. for the purpose of reviewing a conditional use application submitted by Mountain Minerals and Aggregates to expand the mineral extraction activity on property at Route 109, map 140, lot 001 and 002. The public is invited and encouraged to attend. For more information, please call. Okay, we own land next to this,
Correct.
all right, and you need us to say that we have received notice of the public hearing?
Yep.
Okay, the town of Acton has received notice of the public hearing on Thursday, November 5th. Okay,
That's all I have other than announcements.
Question on that one.
could you come up here, please? When we're on the tape, they can't hear you.
Okay,
Unless you're
so, Mountain Minerals, is that the previous Turcot pit?
No.
Okay,
No,
where's,
it's on H Road, and they've reopened it. It was a pit that was open years ago.
oh, so like
They're on the H
Lakeside?
Road past, you got the dump, and then there's a pit, and then it's the next one down, right?
Oh, okay.
That's
I don't know where it is.
What's the address?
No idea.
I think it is Turks.
Oh, it is Turks.
It says Route
I
Oh,
thought
yeah,
you
109.
said
property, you're right,
109.
it is Turks, yeah.
Okay, so would the landowner that abuts that, are they going to be notified?
The planning board, based on the zoning, has notified numerous abutters by mail. Your best bet would be to check with downstairs, but if you abut the 255, I think it was 1 or 2, and I don't have the map and lots in front of me, there were 4 properties that abutters were notified, so you'd want to check with downstairs if you didn't get a notice.
Pretty much raped that place clean. I don't know, it concerns me because it is in my quote backyard.
Yeah.
And the woman that owns the lot next to me, it abuts hers, and she's already done a survey of her land. And they're right up against, I don't know which way they're trying to go.
It just says, for the purpose of reviewing a conditional use application submitted by Mountain Minerals and Aggregates to expand the mineral extraction. So that means they're gonna take more dirt out of there than the past.
On one of the lots. Yeah. And Brenda has the full application because they've come before the planning board and they're coming for the public hearing, so your best bet would be to go downstairs and find out too if you're, in a butter, if you haven't gotten notice.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, announcement?
Just a couple of reminders, the 2016 dog licenses are available. The November election next week, polls are open on Tuesday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. 3 questions on the website, on cable. Special town meeting we just signed for next Tuesday, and then they asked that we announce the annual tree lighting. So the Town of Acton annual tree lighting and dinner with Santa. You're never too old to believe in Santa. So Santa will arrive shortly after 5, immediately following the lighting of the tree. Children will have the opportunity to have photographs, a free event for all children, all ages, Bill. Saturday, December 5th, 5 to 8 at the town hall. And I can tell you that they're looking for assistance with food goodies. There's a sign-up sheet in my office if anybody wants to donate something.
What time?
It's from 5 to 8 on Saturday, December 5th.
All right, can we go back to, having, meetings before the TV meetings? I don't think we made a decision on that, did we?
I would say not.
Okay.
I mean, it sounded like we weren't really moving forward with it, so. I'm just-
Okay, well, I said my piece.
Yeah, I know, I
just
heard
assumed
what
it'd be like,
everybody said, I
stay
just.
the way it
I mean,
is, so if
I mean, if you guys
wanna
are
change
okay
it-
with the kind of, the communication, do you think that as a group, we're communicating enough that,
I think Chief Smith had a good point, that there are some things that probably should be discussed prior to, like in a workshop session.
right, but you don't want it to get back to how we got to this
Right.
point
Yeah, not
and
a-
decisions being made. I mean,
Right.
Peter has a liaison, if you decide to stay with it the way it is, then Peter would be calling, or any department head would be calling his liaison, whoever that might be, and going over those issues, and then deciding what needs to be brought before the board. I mean, you can always have executive sessions if, or we can go back to that way, but we have to make a decision as far as to what level, we can't you can't make decisions in there.
Right.
So, I mean, it's just a matter of, if, the communication, if it's enough for you guys.
If it's enough for what you need us to be doing, I mean, it's, we're all in this together, so if there's anything needs to come up, well, I guess you could do it in an executive session. So, I mean, I wouldn't mind if we wanted to stick an hour of workshop in somewhere, either probably prior to this meeting's the best way to do it. But
Would you
my 2 cents worth.
set guidelines of what can and can't be discussed? I mean, how much of a,
You could pretty much discuss anything as long as you didn't vote on anything. So. Well, really doesn't make any difference to me either way.
Well, I've gotten a lot of comments that people like this and everything being on TV and out in the open, so my preference is we leave it the way it is, and, if you have an issue that doesn't need to go on TV, we can go through the liaison, and then we can bring it up when it's time.
Great.
I agree.
Okay, so we leave it the way it is?
yes, sir.
All right. And you don't have anything else? Anybody out there have anything? No?
Just wanted to announce the Croc Fest that the library is holding for their fall fundraiser on Saturday, November 7th from 5 to 8. We have currently about 15 entrants of chili and chowder, and we're hoping to get a crowd full of people in here to chow down and judge. There's still slots, about 5 slots open to enter your crock of chili or chowder. And call the library if you have any questions.
All right, great, thank you. All right, motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Seconded?
All in favor?